Will Bob Menendez keep his pension? A conviction wouldn't be enough under current law to withhold it. A new bill seeks to change that. No member of Congress has ever had his taxpayer-funded pension stripped for corruption crimes committed while holding public office. That could change, as the Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office unsealed an indictment Friday charging Senator Bob Menendez, D.N.J., with accepting hundreds of thousands of dollars in bribes from 3 businessmen. Mr. Menendez said in a statement that he is the victim of a smear campaign. A lawyer for the senator's wife, who was also indicted, said she denies any criminal conduct. It isn't the first indictment for Mr. Menendez, against whom the Justice Department dropped earlier charges in 2018 after a mistrial. Nor is Mr. Menendez the only sitting lawmaker to face indictment on corruption charges. Among the others were former Representatives Jesse Jackson Jr., D. Ill, Shaka Fada, D. Pa, and Chris Collins, R., New York. The case, like those before it, presents Congress with a legitimate opportunity to rectify abuse of taxpayer dollars. Under current law, a member's congressional pension isn't stripped until after all avenues for appeal have run out. That can, and typically does, take years. In July, the Senate passed by unanimous consent the No Corruption Act, sponsored by Senators Jackie Rosen, D., Nevada, and Rick Scott, R., FLA, which would close this loophole. Representatives and senators who serve for at least 5 years are eligible for a taxpayer-funded pension that pays 2 to 3 times as much as pensions offered to employees with similar salaries in the private sector. The pension amount is based on the length of time in office, the average of the 3 highest years of salary, and an accrual rate that varies depending on when a member was first elected. Mr. Menendez was elected to the House in 1993 and appointed to the Senate in 2006. If he were to resign his seat this month, he could collect a pension of up to $70,100 a year. This assumes that he took steps to maximize the benefit level. Congress first attempted to block pensions for felons in 2007 through the Honest Leadership and Open Government Act. The law was a response to corruption scandals involving members who remained eligible for pensions while in prison. PLOGA specified corruption-related crimes that would lead to pension forfeiture. The Stop Trading on Congressional Knowledge Act of 2012, STOC for short, specified additional crimes. But the pension stripping provision doesn't kick in until final conviction, after all opportunities for appeal have expired, so there is an incentive to keep filing appeals to collect the pension. I work for an organization that tracks federal spending and have followed this issue for years. I have yet to confirm that any member of Congress has ever had a pension stripped due to a criminal conviction. Members originally charged for crimes specified in the PLOGA or STOC Act have struck deals with the Justice Department for reduced charges. Former Representative Corinne Brown, D. FLA, was convicted in 2017 on 18 felony counts, including wire and tax fraud, conspiracy and lying to federal investigators. After being sentenced to 5 years in prison, she successfully appealed the conviction for the improper removal of a juror during the trial. Ms. Brown faced a retrial in 2022 but cut a deal admitting guilt to a single charge of corrupt interference of administration of Internal Revenue laws. That crime wasn't subject to the forfeiture provisions in PLOGA or the STOC Act, leaving her eligible for an estimated $71,000 annual pension. In 2017, my organization confirmed that Mr. Fada remained eligible for his $55,000 annual pension, plus annual cost of living adjustments, despite being sentenced to 10 years for racketeering, money laundering, bribery and fraud. At the time, the Office of Personnel Management, OPM, told us that Fada has not exhausted his appeal rights and that the office would wait until any appellate activity has concluded before taking appropriate action. Mr. Fada's prison sentence was supposed to run through August 1, 2024, but he was released on June 8, 2020. The Bureau of Prisons Inmate Locator says he is under the custody of a residential reentry management facility in Philadelphia. OPM has been vague about enforcing the PLOGA and STOC Act. The office no longer replies to my questions regarding the pension eligibility of members of Congress. Since June 2020, I have asked on a regular basis if any former member has had a pension stripped pursuant to these laws, but OPM has declined to answer. Last week the Justice Department said that former Representative Steve Buyer, R.I.N.D., was sentenced to 22 months in federal prison for an insider trading scheme that netted a profit of more than $349,000. Mr. Buyer's lawyer plans to appeal, which would let the former congressman continue to collect an estimated annual pension of $48,000, plus annual inflation adjustments. The No Corruption Act would cut off pension benefit payments upon initial conviction. Representative Ralph Norman, R.S.C., intends to introduce companion legislation in the House. Under the bill, if a member makes a successful appeal, the annuity amount would be fully paid retroactively. This is an important reform that would balance taxpayers' interest with the rights of the accused. The House should join the Senate in protecting Americans from paying pensions for those who have abused the public trust. Will Bob Menendez keep his pension? A conviction wouldn't be enough under current law to withhold it. A new bill seeks to change that. No member of Congress has ever had his taxpayer-funded pension stripped for corruption crimes committed while holding public office. That could change, as the Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office unsealed an indictment Friday charging Senator Bob Menendez, D.N.J., with accepting hundreds of thousands. Vivek Ramaswamy is confused. The theatrically combative presidential candidacy of Vivek Ramaswamy seems to be premised on two messages. One is his disdain for identity politics, which he argues creates a citizenry obsessed with victimhood and a corporate sector enthralled to trendy left-wing obsessions, leaving America trapped in a cold cultural civil war, as he put it last month in the first Republican debate. The other is his devotion to Donald Trump, whom Ramaswamy relentlessly defended in the debate, promising to support the former president if Trump wins the Republican nomination, or to pardon him if Ramaswamy wins the White House. He called Trump the best president of the 21st century. Both these stances, however, are complicated or contradicted by Ramaswamy's literary trilogy, Woke Incorporated, 2021, Nation of Victims, 2022, and Capitalist Punishment, 2023. In these works, Ramaswamy is more thoughtful, but also more confused, than his smiling, trolley, rapid-fire campaign persona. He can't seem to decide if woke capitalism is a public relations ploy or a mortal threat to the republic. And even as he leonizes Trump among his conservative heroes, he writes that Trump's calls for American greatness degenerated into just another tale of grievance, a persecution complex that swallowed much of the Republican Party whole. Swallowing much of something whole is a typical Ramaswamy hedge, one of several categorical assertions in these books that find room for a little wiggle. In Woke Incorporated, published some 7 months into Joe Biden's presidency, Ramaswamy assails the rise of so-called stakeholder capitalism, the notion that companies should not solely serve the